Why, hello there. It's time for some key thoughts. That's right, my weekly discussion on the game of KeyForge. And this week, do I have a discussion for you? Yes, I am dipping into the Help from Future Self Discord because there was something I read there about in the discussions of past episodes that took a point that was made very fleetingly by, I believe it was myself on the episode, and two outstanding members of the community, people who are known, had a little comment based on that, and I liked it. So I decided to make the episode around that. I will share the comments with you so you have context, and then give my input, because there's two parts to these comments that I found very interesting. But first, we must do the card of the week. So here we are. We have the good old Khalifi Dragon. That's right, this is the card of the week. Can you believe it? Khalifi Dragon from Coda is the card of the week. For those of you not familiar, it's a 12 power dragon creature from Brobnar that says Khalifi Dragon cannot be played unless you have 7 or more Ember. Has a fight reap, gain 1 Ember, deal 5 damage to a creature. Yeah, that is a pretty swell card if it works, but Khalifi Dragon is renowned for not getting played. Well, guess what, folks? I have a deck that has played it every single game I've gotten it, except for maybe the first time I played it, because I didn't understand what to do. But now I know, and I understand it. This deck is sick. The Brobnar is dope AF, and yeah, I play Khalifi Dragon every turn. Not only do I play it every turn, but I generally use it on the same turn I played it. That's right, I said it. That happens. Always. Don't believe me? Watch my stream from last week. I did it. Every time like that. Alright, enough gloating about my amazing Khalifi Dragon deck. Let's go into the topic of this week. So, as I mentioned, this revolved around discussions from past episodes, and guess what? It has to do with AOA. Now, before I go into this, I find that we look at sets from years past now, I can actually say that, in a way that is different from in the moment when you're cracking decks and seeing them maybe week after week in a sealed type environment. Once you've opened a bunch of decks and you've now got rid of the chaff and you're down to what you consider to be the great top tier elements of those sets, you look at a set differently than when it was the main set you're getting regularly. Your pool, what you see in the wild, all these factors are not as abundant as down the road when you're a couple sets past it. You get to see what was really great, what is really great and still exists within your collection, and view it differently. Because I know a lot of people love AOA, for good reason too. But in the moment of cracking AOA and seeing it, it's sometimes not as great. But you do find amazing things within AOA. That is a undisputed fact. There are great things within AOA. The regularity of those great things is where the issue can come with any set, actually. It's not just AOA. Now, I believe I made some sort of comment about the way the algorithm distributed cards was, in fact, why I thought AOA was lacking. And in response to that, none other than the code god himself, Sky Jedi, had a response, and this is what he said. Discussion on AOA having great card but mediocre decks is totally because there's an unbalanced card pool. Sure, there are great cards, but there are more bad and mediocre cards at rarity than great/good cards. Pro Gen needs both that spread of bad/okay/great cards to function well, but you need to keep everything balanced in each rarity for every house. Because in the end, the algorithm is basically the same for each set. It's the card pool that changes. It makes me really wonder if you take out some of the meh AOA cards from the pool, how different the set would have been. That's interesting. To view it as the algorithm calculates and tabulates all the cards the same, and then just plugs them in as it's told to, based on, I guess, rarity in each house. So the rarity is the factor that actually changes between the sets. So if you have, this is the whole reason why it's like you look at how good the commons are in any given house, and you can tell how good that house will be for the most part when generating decks. So there's that. And then Blinking Line had a response too. The online judge Renowned. Blinking Line said, I agree with this. AOA being developed in a vacuum without seeing what worked at scale in Coda was problematic, I think, though given the production constraints is understandable. I've talked a little before about the game economy of KeyForge. The goal of the game is to get keys, and to get keys you need Ember. AOA has so many commons and uncommon cards that can disrupt that economy to the point that it feels frustrating. That's the whole statement. The part I really liked that he talked about was how AOA was made in a vacuum before Coda was even seen in the wild and tested by the community at large, or the community that they did not know would exist at the level that it did. So you have a set that's designed while the other set has also been designed, but you don't know how the first set did, what was played, what was utilized, what came out as what people were gravitating to. And then you release a set to follow it up. Creating something in a vacuum like that's quite interesting. I think even Worlds Collide was designed as well. I'm not sure about Mass Mutation, but I believe Worlds Collide was also like pretty much done. So I'm curious how much tweaking happened once AOA came out and they started to see some of the things that I guess people didn't like, or the lack of the decks showing in the way maybe they intended. I'm wondering how much tweaking, how aggressive was the tweaking, or did it just progress naturally and there were just minor tweaks? I'm very curious about that, because the being created in a vacuum concept I think is very interesting. And I wonder how you possibly plan around that. Could they have done it a different way, or would the relation of it be actually the infrastructure and release to keep the momentum going, would it have suffered? So it's really cool to think of it in that way. I know this is way back, and this is not exactly groundbreaking, revolutionary stuff I'm sharing here or regurgitating from their post, but it's good to think about every once in a while. But it does make me think about how sets as they are released are not viewed the same way as after you've had them for a while and opened lots, and we've seen lots open. So I just keep that in mind with every set and with every viewing, because I think on average when you open up a full display, you don't have the same distribution like in other TCGs where you open a pack and there's a rare in every pack. Or you do have a rare and it's kind of like meh rare, or there's some that are really good. But generally within a box, you're going to get one really good pack type of thing. I think it's kind of the same in KeyForge for the most part. Sometimes that is very different because it is randomly distributed. But the point is, keep in mind, as time goes on, you remember the good stuff, you forget the bad stuff, or maybe the bad stuff sticks with you. But we really see the potential of greatness that exists when the right things come together. And I always found that to be an interesting thought process to have. So right now, Dark Tidings is kind of still the new kid on the block. And we're still in the throes of, we're not seeing it in the same way. And as we do, you see some really cool stuff, but you also see where the chaff is. And it's just really interesting to see this cycle. If you think of things in trilogies, as the movie industry loves to do, you got Coda, the original, you got AOA, the follow-up, and then you got Worlds Collide, the finisher. And you know what? That kind of fits in trilogies in some ways. I take it back. I already hate that statement just after saying it. I retract that previous statement. But if you look at things in trilogies, Mass Mutation was like the second cycle of trilogies. And then we had Dark Tidings as the sequel. And it feels kind of the same way as the first trilogy we had. If you look at the way Coda impacted and then AOA followed up, Mass Mutation kind of has the same sort of thing. We're in the same cycle. And I'm curious what we're going to see happen when Winds of Exchange drops. It will drop, folks. It's happening. I can not say that I have a source that says this. I'm just telling you it's happening. Okay. So that's going to be it for today. And as always, folks, may your Ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Please do like and subscribe and tell your friends to tune in. I got new stuff coming this year. And if you didn't see my video I dropped yesterday, it should be popping up right there somewhere around here. And yeah, check it out. You'll like it. Have a good one.